And now?
Economic Development Corporation Board meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Joe Simmons is absent, excused, he's coming back from Houston. I would ask, as we've done in the past, everybody will take their own personal time to whatever thoughts and prayers they need to have for what is going on in our world today. Let's take 30 seconds and just contemplate it. If everybody's down, should we stand for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Christy, do we have any public comments? Okay, moving on to 3, we have the consent agenda items.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Tim? Aye. Okay, unanimous approval. All right, moving on to regular agenda item. The first one will be a presentation on the development of the granary by Gabe Dubois. It's all yours. We are listening.
Thank you. And that's Dupuis.
Dupuis?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's a hard one to get. So, like we just discussed, my name is Gabriel Dupuis. I'm a restaurant consultant. I've been doing that for the last 5 years, but I've been in this industry for the last 30 years total. I have a knack for delivering Southern hospitality and just giving that Texas charm to pretty much everything that I've opened up and done over here recently. The first job I started at, I was 15 years old picking up beer bottles at John T. Flores Country Store in Helotes, Texas, all the way up to opening up the Golden Rule and Mikey V's Tacos here in Georgetown on the square. That's some of the most recent projects that I've done. I've seen it all. I'd love to share what I have learned along the way and opening up the rail yard here in Gerald, which would be the rename. It was called the Granary. I'd like to call it the rail yard and kind of tied into some of the roots here in Gerald. One of the ways that I'm going to complete this vision is teaming up with one of my partners, Hayden Medrano. He's the owner of Pearl Snap Productions, and I'd like to introduce him and let him talk about what he does.
All right, good evening. Like Gabe said, my name is Hayden Medrano. I'm the owner of Pearl Snap Productions, which is an event production company. We primarily focus on concerts and festivals. We've got to work with a lot of great artists, mostly Texas country. I'm one of the founding members of Troubadour Festival, which was in Georgetown, Texas, and then 3 other cities across Texas. I really strongly believe that this will be a great project and we can make something great for the city of Gerald. My specialty will be the music and kind of bringing entertainment and value in that way. I want to have regular music out there. I really want to turn this into a hub for the city and a place that's kind of home based where we're hosting the Chamber of Commerce for quarterly luncheons. We can have it where folks come out and watch football on the weekends, NFL, college, great place for that. We can have it as a location for a donation drop off or toys at Christmas time, a 4th of July festival area. I really think we can make it into something really special. Gabe, I really have all the faith in him. He's got the experience, and I've got the experience in music and venue management. I'm also a part owner of Reed Ranch in Georgetown, and I've got to work with a million different venues like the Broken Spoke. I've got to work at Green Hall, booking for there. So I love this place, and I think it's going to be a great fit for the city. And I'm going to turn it back to Gabe, let him kind of go over more numbers, and if there's any questions for me, I can kind of elaborate more. But I do think this is a really good project. Thank you.
And to reiterate on what Hayden was talking about is, we would love to just tie in the community here in Gerald and make this a place where people come and meet and families come together in community, from the west side of Gerald to the east side of Gerald, everybody meets together and just realizes that this is a community-centered project. We want to bring people out. I'd like to offer a church service there on Sunday morning called Bibles and Brisket. I would have my city church in Georgetown do a satellite feed, and so you could come in and you could hear the message from Pastor Brett Levi, and then after that you could enjoy brisket or brunch after that on Sunday as well. So we have so many plans and so many ideas in the works. We don't want to just make it a turnkey spot where we just open up and we sell brisket out the window and we don't talk to people, we don't meet people, we don't invest in the community, we don't want that. It's got to be different. We have big plans here because we feel like this could be really cool to Gerald. It could bring a lot of people into Gerald, it could make it a destination spot. When I'm driving through from Georgetown to Salado, sometimes I used to just zoom right by that spot and go, oh, that's a pretty cool spot, and then just keep on moving. I want to make it to where you have to turn around, you have to take the exit, you want to see what this place is when you're driving by, and we'll be able to do that visually with some of the requests we have, with some of the construction that we like, but then also we'd be able to just do that with having great music venue out there and having just great food and entertainment out there for families to come and enjoy. So the ask that I'm asking for to get it going is on the back sheet. It's the EDC ask. We're seeking $350,000 in the form of a grant from the EDC to fund and launch the granary. It is going to be a casual dining and social experience here in Gerald. This funding covers property remodel, kitchen setup, equipment purchase, and essential operating capital for staffing, inventory, and marketing. And then it has all the breakdown of how each item, the cost of those items, and each of those items, what is needed for that. I'm open to any questions. If you guys have any questions for us, David and I are more than happy to elaborate or answer those questions.
Well, let me ask one on the phone. Looks like what you're asking for is us to fund all of your capital investment. So have you got any skin in the game at all?
Do I have any skin? I don't. I have sweat equity in the game. I don't have any skin in the game to bring to it. But,
okay. Do you have a pro forma cash flow for like the first 5 years, what the growth is going to be?
I have the first 2 years of projected growth of what I anticipate the sales to be generating revenue-wise year to year, but I haven't had it broken down to 5 years out. No.
Okay, so in the 2 years you've got it broken down into what the expected revenue is, what the expected expenses are,
yes,
all
sir.
the other pieces that are in there.
Yes, sir.
I mean, as we go through ours, I'm not trying to take anything. It probably would help if at some point in time you could email us just some simple projections so we get an idea of,
Sure.
of what you think is going to be there. Obviously, we're not going to do a forensic audit on you.
Yes, sir.
There's got to be some realistic. Obviously, there's some real experience in what you can entertain as far as not only revenue for food, but for entertainment and whatever else you plan on doing in there. And so at some point, you would have to sit down and offset whatever your revenue and profit projections are against whatever the grant that you're asking for.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty hefty.
I do have all the details on that and how it's broken down for over the next 2 years, and I can project it further down if you like.
Whatever you're comfortable with. I don't want you going out there and, there's only so much you can go and take a stab in the dark at, but, if you have a good projection based on your experience, certainly it's far better than me trying to guess what your revenues are going to be over the next 2 or 3 years. I just don't have any idea what the granary was doing before, as far as gross revenues, expenses. I have not a clue as to what's out there. Somebody else does. Joe? No?
You visited often, you said that I think the big difference that I'm seeing that you're bringing is the connectivity to the community, like that open corridor, very closed off.
It was very closed off. We want to open it up,
I
and
think that makes it, definitely enhances the brand.
and just social media marketing and getting out there, getting to know people, bringing in the high school football team, letting the coach do maybe after the recap the next day after a football game. He gets up there and he talks about wins and losses, similar to what they do in Georgetown with their football team, and just bringing in people having a whole different feel, having entertainment out there for them to do, but also having a putt-putt golf course for kids from 4 years old to, in their 50s, coming out there and enjoying that. Just bringing a different aspect, a different look out there than just a closed off facade where you're just handing meat out of a window. That's not the plan.
Certainly wasn't a question that it wouldn't provide, a community impact that was on there. It's a question of is, how much risk are you bearing? How much risk are you asking, the EDC to take? Right now, you're asking us to take 100% of the financial risk that's in there, and I'm going, okay, that's fine. Just let us know what you think the projection's gonna be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How many employees do you anticipate this?
So starting off 15 to 20, but it's broken down in different phases as far as the growth goes with this business. So maybe year 1 is 15 to 20, and then year 2 it's going to grow as we expand and add more elements to that restaurant concept.
And, our community certainly wants to live and work in our community. What kind of training opportunities would you be providing your employees or residents here?
So we'd be training them in culinary arts, we'd be training them in learning how to do the music side of things, producing, putting on shows. We'd be teaching them social media marketing from that aspect, and we'd also be teaching them just a good work ethic. My daughter is 16 and she's probably worked at every concept that I've been at. She had her own business called Flour and Ice, where she made these ice cream cookie cakes that she sold to all the schools in JISD. It was very successful, but I loved having her there with me and her friends there with me, working, teaming up with us. So that's what I envision. Just good leadership, teaching kids good morals, good working values. That just isn't seen these days. So I'd love to bring that.
Thank you.
Tim, any questions?
No, I'm with you, Larry. It's fun looking at the numbers and kind of understanding what sense it makes, and I believe in the product.
Oh, yeah, I think the idea is great, somewhere in there, we gotta figure out what the mix and match is going to be over time, so.
Okay. And I can do that, I have that ready for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabe, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to item number 4.2, discussion and consideration possible action on adopting the FY 2026 budget. Okay, we had, this was the result of the workshop that we had. And so I believe what you have in there, 1, 2, yeah. So we're looking at, I believe those were the same numbers we discussed in 4.2. Revenue and expenses.
Conversation on here tonight about that salary position, and I don't think it's in this budget, right? So
Well, the reason it's not in that budget is because the original one was that you were gonna come up with a contract with the city for what that person was going to be and what those expenses were going to be. So whenever, to my part of it was, and if I'm wrong, tell me if we changed it, mine was, is as soon as you got whatever the contract was going to be, then we would just do a budget amendment and add it into the administration number.
there's not been a contract done because the city explained that they were doing the rate study for salary, right? And we just got that, so now we kind of know what that number is, and they proposed a 50-50 split. So it's gonna be somewhere around 75,000 for us.
Well, I think if you look at that was for the first year, and then they wanted us to bear the full $149,000 the second year. And I personally have a problem expending 1/3 of our income on an executive director that we don't have a full-time need for one right now. So that was in the second part of the memo from Jorge stating the position. I thought that this was gonna be a combined position that was going to be developed between you and Tony, and the city manager for a combined job description as we discussed in the workshop with the.
So in talking to Jorge, it was agreed that it was going to be a shared position. We were going to have 50%, he would have 50%. And that the title of that was what we had all talked about in here for infrastructure. but, as far as it being the second year, 100% on us, that's the first I've heard of that.
Well, that's in his memo, and I was really upset with that. But first off is, we haven't even had a discussion about what the contract is. Because when we had the workshop with the council and the mayor in here, the discussion simply is that we would contract every year for whatever we thought we needed of whatever this shared position was. And that it might take a few years before we really had a need for a full-time executive director of the DEC.
So, since that was just an email, could we not write out the terms that we just, right now, focus on this year, and it be that 50-50 split?
I'm looking for the 2 year thing.
If you look at the memo, it says in the first part and the second part, it says then the next year would be $149,000. That was in the last email that we got, and I'm not sure it made it in time to put it into.
Yvonne, do you have that?
I do not, I don't, was that included in the packet that was published by chance? I don't.
No, because it came late. Okay.
Okay.
So if you look at this FY 26, okay, let me show you. Right here it says, the midpoint represents the maximum qualified candidates. For planning purposes, the FY 27 budget should account for a full year of salary and benefits, which total $180,000.
But is he saying that that's from the EDC?
I don't know
Or is
because
he just saying,
Agreement they have.
right,
It's my understanding of remains in
I
place
don't-
until it's.
I don't see that as saying though the EDC. I think what he's saying is that there should be a budget to account for that.
And I would, yeah, but not our budget.
Correct.
If
Well,
you tell our half, it's confusing.
right.
So I guess all I'm concerned with is that we are very specifically set up so that we have contracts.
Agreed.
And we talked about it in the workshop with the council and the mayor, is that we would develop a contract with the city every year that would state is that every year before the fiscal year began, we would determine how much of that resource we wanted to buy. And we assumed that a starting point of 50% was probably good, and I don't know that that really has changed, but in every year, you know, it would simply be whatever that number is. The reason I asked for a job description is that I have no idea what the job description was. In other words, what were the essential skills that were in the job that got this person $180,000 a year? I don't know whether it met our needs or whether it met the city's needs. I don't, there was no information that told me what we were contracting for, other than the fact that the city manager just says, you guys are on the hook for this much money and you're on the hook for $90,000 next year, but we don't know what we're on the hook for $90,000 for, because we don't have a job description for this dual purpose slot that we've got. And we can always, you know, budget it in there once we get a contract with the city. But that was the agreement that we had when we talked with the council, is that we would develop a contract with the city, okay? The city would have control of the asset, we would contract for that asset, okay? And that was to be done between the city manager and, you know, whatever you guys negotiated, it was gonna be a reasonable contract. So, you know, if we're putting something in there without meeting what the original agreement was with the city, I don't have a problem. If that's what you guys, if that's what you two wanna do.
So this is what I propose then, is I think everybody's in agreement that it's a 50-50, right? And so you're saying a contract. I don't disagree with that. I think everything needs to be written out so that it's clear for everyone, right? So what Tim is recommending is that we go ahead and put in the budget right now as a holding place, a $75,000 amount to account for our 50% of that line item when it is actually approved. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Yes,
So you don't have
okay.
to go back and amend budgets and all this stuff.
Correct.
You know it's coming.
So
You just
we,
gotta iron out the details.
so we put that in here as a 75,000, it's the holding place, and then we can work on the contract with Jorge so that we have a contract stated for the, infrastructure person. Does that work? Does that work?
I'm okay, I just seriously have a problem budgeting money for something that was very clear out of that workshop that says, we're gonna develop a job description, which included everything that we needed from an EDC point of view, and the city would put in everything that they needed from whatever they wanted to call this thing. And then we would all agree whatever those skill sets were that we knew in that job description. We had the skill sets that we needed, and the city could define whatever they wanted. So, just, in not saying any of that happened, you know, I'm just a little bit nervous, but that's fine, if that's what you want to
If
do.
you're projecting a budget amendment, you could still amend it to 75 and one.
Oh, and that's what I was saying, is that once it was done, you know, whether it was, you know, 55,000, 155,
If
it
you
doesn't.
put that in there and it's after that, you could still amend it. and pull it
Correct.
out.
Correct, you could always amend it later, right?
Right.
Is what you're saying, yeah, agreed.
Well, that was my intent, is that until the contract was done, until the city manager actually sat down and said, here's the job, because you told me he created a job description for this dual purpose.
It's in here.
It's in our
No.
budget.
There isn't.
I have a job description
I do too,
For what?
for the
for
infrastructure.
this new
person.
position.
Yeah,
Okay, and so that has every skill set that we need for an EDC director.
If we're gonna do infrastructure as a focus, it does.
Okay, I didn't read that. I didn't read that we were giving up everything that an EDC director was supposed to do.
I think it's a hybrid, is it not?
that's what I understood, it was a hybrid of
It's
the,
hybrid
Yeah, but
of
my problem is I don't see anything in that description that says anything about the specific skill sets that an EDC director does. Where are your, you know, your professional accreditations? What are the things that you need? And if you're saying we don't need them, that's fine.
You're gonna have a hard time finding an economic development director, a credential director that's gonna also be credentialed water and sewer and infrastructure and roads. That's gonna be a hard
Oh,
deal.
and I agree with you totally, and that's why I'm going, is that I have somewhat of a problem why I asked for the job description that got $180,000 for an EDC director when we know that we aren't gonna get those sets of skills.
I don't think you need to pay $180,000, and that's a conversation we can have with them. I think you're about 150 is where you're gonna land on this job, that's my opinion. But I do agree, as I read this job description, there are some bullet points that we need to add, because I want to see, such as, they're going to adhere by our budget, they're gonna make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and, you know, holding us accountable if we make votes, it's getting done, right? I want that person to do that. I want that person to also make sure we're keeping all of our credentials up to date. So
Correct.
we got an email right as we took the board, and you handled it, but it was something that hadn't been filed.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know that. And so that person will be responsible for making sure all of our filings
Yeah.
and, you know, whatever it is,
Yeah.
is.
so
So we need to put some bullet points.
Yeah.
so maybe then, rather than adopting the budget first, is we go to 4.3 to talk about the qualities and recommendations, job description of the infrastructure coordinator. We do that first, which would maybe address your concerns, Larry, to talk
But
about that position, and then come back to budget.
Okay, well, actually, that one I put in after that one, because that, to me, that was the discussion that was supposed to have happened prior to this meeting with the city manager, that said, what is it that you want from a city? What is it that we want from an EDC? How do we put these together? Okay, and then how does that job description equate to, you know, and if it equates to $180,000, agreeing you to agree that that's the contract, and every year it'll be 50% unless we start asking for more, okay, which is fair. If we decide we want 70% because we suddenly have some new projects in the interest line, write it in a contract so that every year prior to budget time, we want 70% of whatever that person's cost is going to be, because we want that time dedicated to EDC functionality. That was all I was looking for, is that we had solidified in place so that the city manager knew directly, and council knew, and the mayor knew, and we knew what that job description was gonna be called, and how we negotiated it every year as to how far we're gonna extend. Because there may be next year at this time we're going, we still don't have a need for more than half of a person. Yeah, you know, so that part I wanted in the contract, not just a general statement that comes out and says, next year it's $180,000, and I'm going, I don't know what I'm paying $90,000 for it. So, but if that's what you wanna do, I will. You wanna go back to table 4.2 for a while and go on to 4.3?
Yes.
Okay, 4.3, discussion and consideration of possible action on the job description of the city's adoption of a growth and infrastructure coordinator.
So Larry, what do you see in here off the top of your head?
I saw that's not a job description as I'm used to seeing it, and that may be my problem. I'm used to seeing a little bit more detail. It says, here's the essential job skills, here are the critical skills that you need, meaning, degree or equivalent, these kinds of certifications, these kinds of professional accomplishments, and some other things that may go on to and other duties that you're required, kind of what you go through. And we would say, that's what we want from an EDC. The city would go, well, we need somebody that has, whatever this infrastructure background is. Maybe it's a engineering. I don't know what that's going to be, because I haven't talked to the city manager. But somewhere in there would be a description of what essential skills that person is going to have to support this dual functionality. However that might be. Do we need a full-blown engineer? I don't know, because I don't know what the city wants on the other side. Do we need somebody that has the certifications and the degrees that would be in at least our current job description? The answer is.
So that's where I'm at. So I'm fine with what he drafted as far as the infrastructure piece of it. Now, the second piece, the Bureau EDC director, we need to pull some pieces from that to include.
Absolutely. And all I want is something that's directly measurable. We can, as an EDC board, go and say, don't go hire somebody if they don't have these essential accreditations or skills, because it isn't going to do us any good. Okay? And if that means just taking the current job description we've got and taking the essential job skills out of it and the accreditations and just plug it into that one, then I would say we're good to go.
Well, let's do that. And send it back to them.
Okay?
Are you good with that, Tim?
Okay.
So,
Well-
go ahead.
What Tony and I were talking about, just pulling out of the current job description, all of the essential job skills and functions, and sticking it into this job description, and then sending it back to the city manager for approval. Just,
So if I'm reading this right, it looks as though, if you look at the justification, if we take that and insert it underneath job summary, we add another category that says justification, then that merges the two together. Because that's essentially all that's in this one, it is just that justification of what this is.
yeah, I guess to me, when I read it, I thought the justification was just for creating the job description. For the job description itself, all I wanted was, here are 4 bullet items that the city requires as essential skills. Here are 4 bullet items that the.
Like right here, refine a position will provide these things.
But yeah, something with like a little bit more measurable than what those are. Those are just words. Do you need a degree in,
Engineering.
Yeah, in engineering, what kind of engineering and or equivalent? The one we always know.
Well, this one says bachelor's degree in economic development, business, public relations, marketing, finance, or related field.
Yes, that's the kind of detail that.
So let's keep that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just say, take that out of our current job description, stick it into whatever this other one is, so we know we're getting somebody that can take over just exactly what you were talking about, because depending on me to get it all right, is probably not the smartest move ever, I think, So that would be mine, is if we just take that and put it back and go, and I don't care what the title of it is, it can be infrastructure coordinator, it can be a person who does things, it can be.
So what I'm hearing is, and this is just my tendency, I would certainly think the city manager is going to recruit based on skill set, right? Bachelor's degrees or whatever it is, I don't know. What I want to see is just that our organization is being supported from a staffing point on the stuff that we have to do. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, I mean, they're going to manage most of that, right?
We're
We're
they
going to
should.
support and
Yeah.
be there, and this guy's very involved in that stuff, so he'll have a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So really, to me, right now, I think we're at a supporting standpoint, how do we use our money to go? And we just made half of that salary, and then it also got to include, I don't know what the piece is gonna be for accounting and secretarial work.
We've got a rough number that's been there for the last couple of years, at $6,131, okay? And I've always just kind of laid that off the side as a benchmark until we got done with the job description. We talked about that in our workshop. So I think if you can go back in there and get the essential job skills and job functions stuck into whatever you want to call this job, and get the and get the city manager, put that into the job. And that's not only just for us, that's for a couple years down the road when another group comes in and we're having a discussion about what is it that person is supposed to be doing. We want to know that we're hiring somebody that can do the stuff we want to do.
That they know by reading their offer, they know what they're supposed to be doing.
That's the other one, So if we've got that, so does somebody want to convert that into an action?
Do it right now.
On the job description, I said we table it. I don't know if we have to take action, or do we? That's time we get it negotiated, or do we need to take action on it? We're not approving it, so.
Well, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen. I go back to your part, I want to, no
Yeah.
kicky, no washy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying, if we put the 75,000 in as a holder and we don't get the job description that we want, we don't get the person we want,
It's just a whole.
then we just don't pay it.
Correct.
We don't, we'll go to the old retired person,
That's my
EDC
point.
director roles and
We're
we'll,
just approving the number. If it
Okay.
don't work, then
Doesn't
we
mean we have to
spend it,
spend it.
but I don't have to go back and amend later to.
Yes.
okay. Understanding,
The,
this is the historical perspective, from a fund balance accounting point of view, we modify
Yeah,
budgets all the time.
Yeah.
That's why it's easy to do within fund balance accounting, we've got it in there.
I'm
So-
not a fan, because to me, it's just delays. You meet once a month, it's only every 30 days you get to do things. And
Yeah. All right, so in administration, I will take an amendment, or I take a motion to amend the 05-569-03 GL account number to add 75 grand to it.
Yes.
Plus 6? Is that in here anywhere? What are we
No,
doing?
because he hasn't given it back to me yet. I've asked for it 3 times. And I'm assuming because the last 2 years, it's been 6131. So that's a good point. Can we change that to 8131?
And it's just there.
Which would include the 6131 that's in there, okay? So can we make that as a motion?
Do you want to do it, Tim, or do you want me to do it?
Go ahead.
I make a motion to amend the budget as presented to add under administration 05-500-6903 to add the dollar amount of 81, what did we say?
81.
75 plus 6131.
So that is 8131, right?
Yes.
Okay, 8131. $81,031. Is that correct? Am I saying that right? 81,000?
61, how about $81,131?
$81,131.
Yes.
Got it?
Okay.
To make an amendment to add that item under administration, $81,131.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have unanimous approval on the adoption of the budget, okay? All right. That was fun. So, all right, so 4.3, leave me alone. So 4.3 is going to be tabled depending, Tony and Tim
Yes.
getting a
I
response
think I
back
heard
from
what
the
you
city
want.
manager.
I think it's easy to go back and say, we want these things, rewrite it, and then say.
Yeah, just rewrite, put in what's out of our job description for the essential job skills
Well,
and
that's
job
not
functions.
email it to us, because we can always, if something missed, we can.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that he wants to take it from council, to say, here's this job position and this is what
Have
EDC
you
owns.
seen this job description? Not yet? You have or have?
No, this is.
Yeah.
So we'll clean it up.
Yeah, it needs cleaned up, that way both organizations can approve before we go to contract and say, okay, Because that's the other part to it, they're just saying, we've got a contract that says before budget time every year in the June timeframe, EDC has to tell the city how much, what percentage of that job position we want to pay for. Okay. All right, that's good. Okay, moving on to item number 4.4, discussion, consideration, possible action on the Labatt EDC agreement as submitted from council. And this was directly from the city manager through the attorney. This is the one that we kind of talked about a little bit, about $500,000. There are a couple of, there's some blanks in there. If you're okay with it, I guess I'm okay with it. So,
Some blanks,
the
get highlighted.
yeah, the yellow parts that were in there, which was submit to the city an annexation petition by blank. Okay.
So for Labatt, sorry, they did satisfy those dates at the city council meeting when they discussed that. I don't have those specifically.
That's what Jorge sent us, it's got a blank.
So about 2 months ago, they did satisfy those meeting dates. Sorry. Yeah.
I just,
I can look them up on the minutes if you want to. So if we need to fill them in so you guys can take action tonight, then I can look up the minutes real quick to see what meeting dates.
Here's the part, this is my spin. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Well, this is what we owe them after they meet all of their requirements. So the $500,000 that we've got in there is probably what, 3 or 4 years out?
It's a reimbursement, so. it
Probably about
is
2 to 3 years. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't think I personally didn't see a problem with us approving it tonight because it's not gonna have any impact until, if they don't do what the city told them to do by, which is the annexation petition, then it's null and void and we don't owe them anything anyway. So that's kind of why I'm not overly excited about the fact that it's a blank. It would have been nice if it was in there, but you know, it's a fail-safe for us. Because if they don't get the city's approval in the annexation petition, then this whole agreement falls apart and EDC doesn't owe them anything.
So right now, we're being asked to approve this as is with $500,000 going back to Labatt from the EDC.
If they meet all of
If they
the,
meet their, yes,
if they meet all the conditions in there,
Understood.
okay? And I'm assuming this was negotiated with the prior board. So, we weren't asked to participate, we were just told, here it is, you guys bite the bullet for it, so.
Is this like, almost like, reading this almost like it's 2 agreements in one document? So there's a portion of this that we're doing, there's a portion of this that they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's because of the relationship between the city and the EDC before. All I was told is that this was something that was agreed to prior to us being appointed to the Economic Development Council, and I find nothing wrong with it. I mean,
So did the prior EDC approve it then?
I can't answer that question. I can't answer that question. I'm assuming that they were aware of it. I'm aware that was there, because that was known as the lunch lady.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I have gotten access to the previous executive director's files, and unfortunately, most of them have been deleted.
So I know that this project was presented to EDC, the prior EDC board. They did make agreements, and the prior EDC director was supposed to be working on the CCN amendment to bring them into our water area, and that was the stall. So I know that this was presented to EDC at some point for agreements to be made. What those agreements were, I do not know at this time.
And I'll be perfectly honest, I think this is a fine agreement. I think this is what EDC was designed to do, was to incentivize this large industrial complex coming in. But I'll leave that up to you.
Has any attorney from either the city or
The city's the one that sent this to us.
Okay,
Okay, this went to
their attorney?
the city's attorney,
Okay.
which I go back to Tim's, we need to get our own attorney.
First deal, and I've got a couple of feelers out.
Good, if you can bring those up, we would need them, okay? But I would say with this one, there's enough concurrence with the city and staff, you know, that I just looked at the dollar values that were in there, the $30 million worth of property and all, and the hiring and the number of people, and I'm going, I'm not an expert, but it seems to meet the general requirements that an EDC group would.
I had this on my desk and I noted it all up and I left it on my desk. So.
Did you?
Okay. So
Did you have big questions on it?
I did.
Okay.
I'm trying to find him, but I'm not. We're giving $500,000 and that goes to reimburse for construction of the water line, right? That's right.
I think it's a multitude of things. It's so the performance requirements are the $30 million construction, the $12 million worth of personal property. So if all of that is put in place, then we would reimburse them for $500,000.
I read somewhere in here that our people, it sounds like there's a tax abatement on here.
There is.
Much larger.
Section G in the water line construction, okay, there's a 16-inch water line improvement on the premises that shall become fully operational within 2 years of the commencement date as identified in the tax abatement EDPA executed by the city of Lavatte. So we don't know what that is, but.
Section G, the water line construction.
Yeah, so that's in section 4G, okay? And then H is the hook, that's Lavatte agreed to perform and comply with all terms, conditions, and provisions set forth in this EDPA and any other agreements by and between the city, JEDC, and Lavatte. So,
Where's the $500,000? I'm giving.
which one are you on?
Our commitment. Where is our piece? What we are going?
Section 5.
Yeah. That's the JEDC performance requirements.
Yes, section A. Or subsection A.
That's the 16-inch water line. We're contributing 500,000 towards, or at least a part of it, the 16-inch water line.
Yeah.
So when the condition is, we're in this agreement, that who owns that water line? What's it built?
The city will.
Yeah.
They'll dedicate it to the city.
That is spelled out in here?
No, they would be in the city's development agreement. This is what this guy would be working on. Which is pretty much standard. You have somebody put the infrastructure in and dedicate it to the city and then.
Standard, and to me, words have meaning, and if it's not there, then I don't have to comply with it.
Yeah, well, again, we go back to the part, we got part of this that's the city's negotiation, which we haven't seen, and part of it we won't see, and then we got what we're told.
And so, yeah, I'm not concerned about the cities, you know, we're improving $500,000, I wanna know who's gonna own that property. If we're gonna buy it, then who owns it, and how do we make sure that it's spelled out? You know, we'll get the money as a reimbursement, right? And so to me, it should say reimbursement upon acceptance by the city. Just one word means a whole lot, right? So once you all have approved it and, you know, you're good with it, now the city owns it, then the EDC reverses the money.
Because right now we've got it in as if the infrastructure improvements installed at the property and a report from a licensed engineering consultant hired by the city who has inspected the water line and certified all specifications of construction have been met, but not necessarily that it's been dedicated to the city, so you get it.
Yeah, so the specifications, yeah, it's just a little piece about acceptance by the
So
city.
it does say accepted by the city.
It does,
in
that's
that-
what I'm
in-
saying, where is it at?
in that same paragraph. So the JEDC covenants and agrees to provide Labatt financial assistance in the amount of $500,000 for infrastructure improvements installed at the property or for the benefit of the property by developer consisting of a 16-inch water line for the property and is accepted by the city, which are consistent.
Okay, there it is, there's my word.
Okay, is that what you wanted?
She found it. All I needed was one word. Okay, so I'm good with it.
Okay. Mine was engineering accepted,
Yeah.
so it depends. All right, you're good.
You're right on that too.
Okay, but that's okay, as long as, all right, so we have got, what other discussion did you want to have?
On this,
Yes.
is there anything else? I don't.
I make a motion to
From the
approve
city
the
side.
Labatt EDC agreement. That's what
We got
we're
a motion to approve, do we have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor say aye. Tim?
Aye.
We have unanimous approval. Okay. Discussion, consideration, possible action on current website provider Consensus Media Group, David Perez aware of. This is something we've talked about. That is our website group. Somebody was going to talk to them about improving their website.
That was me.
This is just an update report.
She just started school. Get
With all of the other things that are out there, you know, God, you're supposed to have the job description done, person hired, contract done for the personnel.
You're retired, aren't you? Don't you have time?
I've got great. Give me a break. Okay, so
we had somebody, I know there was an email, somebody's been doing it.
they have been doing it, and they sent it to me and said they wanted to have a discussion about what it should look like. Okay, and I know we had a discussion once before. You seem to have.
Right, I had said that it's lacking.
Yes.
That was
So did
the
they
one.
come in?
But I don't agree saying that I was gonna help them improve it. I said it was lacking.
Can they come in and like present to us?
I was listening and said they were lacking, so therefore she has a measurement
That
that
doesn't
says.
mean I volunteer.
See,
Well-
words have meaning, you said something.
I would, let me put it this, I would say, we've got the name, and I can pass you the comment. We don't need to do anything right away. We've got budget for it. It's not like it's anything in there. Just, I had gotten a notification from him that says, this is kind of out of date. We would like your inputs to bring it up to date. And I'm
I'd
like,
like to ask them to audit the website based on their experience and
Agreed.
come back to us and
Is
get
it
their,
ADA compliant?
what needs to
the
happen.
website?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so,
Cause I don't know anything about them.
I don't know. That's why
Yeah.
you have a big brain over here.
Well,
Okay.
I like that idea. Let's have him audit, give us some recommendations of what he proposes it to contain.
Okay,
And then have him come in and share with us.
okay. Can you do that? Or do you want me to do it? You call it, because you also need to tell them what the updates were.
So moved.
Ah, Tim.
Yeah. Second?
All right, do I have a contact info?
I
There's an
will,
email, I know it, but I don't know who got it. Like,
yeah, I think, yeah. If not, I will go back and make my emails and forward it to you. so
Okay,
you
thank
get
you.
it.
Okay, so
So
just
we're
to be
gonna.
clear, you're gonna forward me the contact
Yes.
and then I'll.
And then you will
then-
bring it back, and what I'm going to do is table 4.5,
Got it.
okay, until the next time, okay? All right, item number 4.6. So there's a certain number here that were discussions between Tony and Tim that Joe and I were not involved with. So I don't have a lot of background into that one. So this was discussion, consideration, possible action on moving $500,000 from cash to CDs to support the FY 2026 budget. So
Yeah,
I'm
so,
not sure why that got brought up, so.
well, the last time we talked, at the last EDC meeting, we had said that there are CDs. And specifically, and it was very smart to just say that we need to be sure 500,000 is in a CD because of the commitment level of that. We just want to formalize that in an action item to be sure that it is on record that the EDC approved for 500,000 to go in a CD, specifically for that.
Okay, so we really have 1.6 in CD. So this is just an operational question. I'm gonna ask, okay? So back in the January, February timeframe, I was asked to come in and help the city manager and the finance director prep for the audit. One of the things that I recognized is that they had $10 million in cash in the balance sheets, okay? Well, for my 13 years as a chief financial officer of the city, that just drives me batty. That's $400,000 a year in
Lots.
earnings. I mean, why turn it down? So I recommended to the finance director that she get with the bank and convert those over into CDs to start earning some cash money. So I queried her later and I said, did you have to go through and get council approval to do that? Because it doesn't change anything in the balance sheet, okay? She said no. So I was kind of wondering why the city manager thought we needed to get approval when we're not changing anything in the asset value or the finances, okay? Now, if that's what everybody wants to do, then I guess we're gonna have to kind of ask for a change either in in the investment policy or the financial ordinance, okay? Because both of those say this is the smart stuff to do. Don't leave a bunch of cash in the bank. If you have enough cash, buy a CD, let your operating income cover your expenses until you're out there. I'm sure
Yes,
you
sure.
do the
We
same
did.
thing.
Mhm.
So, but if that's what you want to do, is to have every,
I think
I
because.
mean, I'd conferred with the treasurer, okay, so.
Well, and just to be sure that, we have the amount dedicated for Labatt, separating it into its own CD. That was the whole discussion.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I wish that would have been brought forward. Okay, so, I guess the approval, because I've misread this, we need to amend this to say is that $500,000 CD, which I have, which is CD number 76051417, okay, would be dedicated to the Labatt payout in a couple of years. So if you would make a motion for
I make
that?
a motion to dedicate, what's the CD number?
CD number 76051417.
To Labatt in the amount of $500,000.
In the amount of $500,000, okay.
Second.
Get a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, well, I hope we show that we're financially more confident than having to do this every time. Okay, so the other one is discussion, consideration, and possible action on approving an invoice from Patricia Ferguson. Okay, so going back to what was just brought up, there was a request from the previous executive director to Patricia to do the initial CCN for the George,
Tracy?
huh?
Tracy?
Yes,
Tracy.
because you said is that the EDC had directed to try and get the CCN transfer from Georgetown to the city of Gerald. This is probably my mistake. I had assumed that for $374, and I got it, that it was an EDC problem, that we should pay the $374 bill. Okay, obviously, since it's being brought up, I shouldn't have done that. So, again.
Well, for me, it's only $374. The first thing is, why are we negotiating CCNs for somebody else? That is not our role, and we're not even legally allowed to do that.
Well, let me explain what happened. The Labatt tract is in the Georgetown CCN.
Sure.
All that was done through the EDC was to contact a lawyer to get with Georgetown to get them to give up their CCN for the Labatt tract. So it kind of was an economic development corporation thing. Whether it was right or wrong, all I know is that I was told that the EDC director requested that, because Tricia does a lot of other work for the city of Georgetown. The city of Georgetown was not going, yeah, fine, just give us the paperwork, we'll give you the CCN. So that was why I authorized payment of that $374. It had nothing to do with the rest of whatever Jorge in there about us taking over PUC, and that was not the intent, okay? The city wants to reimburse us for the $374, and we promised we'll never do another payment for it.
Sarah is the city's attorney, right? So why was this attorney confirming with their attorney to do what that attorney should have been doing in the first place?
Well, you'll have to talk to somebody in the city, if you talk, Joe, remember he mentioned that to you. Patricia has worked closely with the city of Georgetown for a long period of time and knew who to
They weren't
call.
moving fast enough for him, so
That's-
he did this, pretty much. That's what
Well,
I told me.
Well, it was
I'm not saying
it was
it's wrong.
at the request of the negotiation, because Joe has so much knowledge of water systems and contacts with people. He said, look, if you call Patricia, she can get it done in like 2 weeks, and then we've got the CCN. Now we don't have to worry about the fact is that we're trying to do agreements that we don't legally have the right to be in that entity's space.
So what I think I'm hearing is that even though this on the surface may look like it was a city bill, in actuality it was an EDC bill because of all the hands it passed through.
Right.
So as a result, the EDC needs to pay this bill.
And we had. We did pay it. So the $374 bill was in there. And that was, by the way, that was all I ever intended on expending for the EDC. But that was through some side dialogues. Because a lot of what I hear is Tim talking about, I get somebody saying, is that, well, the previous EDC agreed, so it's kind of like that $500,000. Okay, so the previous EDC agreed, okay, I guess that's okay. So that was why the 374 was paid. I did not bring it up because there was budget for it. You know, it was an agreement was in there, it's $374, and I'm kind of agree, it's not necessarily enough.
So Tim, are you feeling as though there's an understanding that this was an EDC bill now as a result?
I don't know if anybody understood what they were doing, if I'll be honest with you, I don't think so. I just think people are just doing stuff, moving things quicker, and I think that's how it's happened. So this is, it's been paid, $374, there's a vote, it's a no for me, but always be a no for me, but that should.
All right, so we got a motion, can we have a motion?
Sure, I make a motion that the bill from Patricia Ferguson was in actuality an expense from the EDC and approved payment of such bill.
Okay, and I'll second. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All approved, say yay.
Yeah.
Yay. Motion passes. Okay. This next one again was between Tony and Tim. Discussion, consideration, of possible action to review and approve the current bylaws of the city. So I understand it. Jorge said both the council and the mayor are waiting for the draft. So since we have Tony here, what is it that you want us to do?
So when we had that joint meeting, the things that were discussed, has that been sent back over to Jorge from that joint meeting?
Their discussion with your lawyer was is that the contract portion of the bylaws totally supports what we've talked about. That was the creation of the contract between the city and the EDC for the city to hire a person that met the EDC's requirements and that we would pay whatever the percentage of the cost was every year. That was why when we came back up on this, I said, okay, well, where's the contract? Because when we had the meeting, when we had the workshop between the city and the EDC, that was the fundamental agreement that at least I had thought that mayor and council had agreed to, is that if we went into a contract, okay, where we agreed to pay whatever percentage of this dual purpose person was, and that contract was in existence, that since we have a contract section already in, okay, our bylaws, that would be adequately met. And I believe your legal counsel at that time said, yeah, as far as she could tell, it was fine, because there's three provisions in there. One of them says is that the EDC can request from the mayor services from the city for reimbursement, and then the other one said we can enter into contracts at any time. And I think the agreement on our end, Tim, back me up on this, our agreement at the discussion we had in the workshop was is that the contract was the better way to go.
Yeah, you don't have to spell out in your bylaws, your agreement.
Yeah,
It's changed
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah,
Bylaws, you can't change just by the bylaws. So your bylaws allow you to contract with whoever you want.
yeah.
If we formalize a contract with the city to provide services for a certain amount of time, then that covers, I think, what we're looking for. But that contract is being renegotiated.
Well, actually, where I put it, it's the council and the mayor that were asking for it, and I thought we had clarified that, or whoever, in the workshop.
So is this now formalizing what we clarified in the workshop?
Well, as far as we were concerned, the current bylaws, because they allow us to request from the mayor services, and we agreed that we would do a contract for a job description. We were waiting for the city manager and our two representatives, just to simply come up with a contract.
What I don't know is if there's any changes in what's in this packet that we were presented with last time. So
This is the same packet.
It's the same, yeah, you approved it, that's why I include everything that's in here for the EDC bylaws. I included every change that was in the last one, which was done by council in February of 2023. Okay, JEDC had approved it before that, and we've had no adopted changes in the bylaws since then. So, yeah.
The amended one.
But if you will remember in the meeting, the city secretary said this was approved, and that's why I included in this both the minutes of the council's approval of this one, as well as the highlights of the changes that were in the changes on February of 2023. Okay, so.
Am I hearing you say, Tanya, that there have been no discussed changes following February of 2023?
I don't have any information for any changes since that.
Okay.
And you're saying you have to go back for clarification.
The only thing I got feedback on was the contract piece, and I think it spells out for the contract. But there's some other places in here and there, this goes back to like conveying the CD, so you can only do that with approval of the board. That's kind of why I brought it up about moving the money. No problem moving the money, but you do need approval from the board to move any funds, write in the check, pay any bill. So.
Okay,
it's in your-
all right, that's fine. I guess I was going on it as it also states in there is that we will be in complete compliance with the city's investment policy, you know, and with their financial ordinance. And that part of it says is if you don't change the balances of the assets of the corporation, you know, then it's not.
No, I don't disagree with your standpoint, I think.
No, if that's what you
It's
want,
just the process.
that's fine. We can bring everyone in. We can bring everyone to. In fact, we've got a couple we're going to go through tonight. So, and that's all right. You know, we don't have that many expenditures we go through anyway, so we can have a long discussion about them. So, I'll go back to what date I think you mentioned is that you just wanted to approve again.
Yep.
The unamended bylaws.
Or, and then for me to get further clarity, I would recommend that you table this.
Okay.
In case of anything that I missed.
Okay, because it would be nice if we get that done, because I think we've been talking about it for almost 5 months now.
Oh, do we, then, okay, it is.
I make a motion to approve the current bylaws of the EDC as written.
Okay, got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have unanimous approval on item number 4.8. Okay. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve expenses as the previous director directed for the use of city attorney for EDC actions. I'm gonna cancel that one. That's the one we just beat to death for the $374 for the.
You don't want to talk about some more?
I don't want to talk about it. I had just thought if there was some other things that the executive director hadn't done as an official status, it was like, let's just pay him. So I'm going to basically null that one out. Okay. Moving on to 4.10, discussion, consideration, possible action to request council to approve signature authority for the bylaws for any check drawn on the EDC. As it stands today, there's nobody on the EDC that countersigns any check. I would recommend we at least have the treasurer.
I think you need two.
Oh, two?
My experience is always.
Well, we have two, you know, so, and again, we can have the check signing, so I think we've always had, are you doing it now, Chris, or is Diane still the signatory for the EDC?
Oh, Diane.
Okay, so I would recommend, and as a historical president, I'm not the big one soon, but, you know, have the treasurer and myself, since that's kind of specified in the bylaws, as being signatories on there, and so it would have to have at least one of our signatures, as well as.
Signature required too.
Well, it's gonna require two, but it would require the city secretaries, because she's gonna get the invoices.
I don't approve of that either.
Okay, all right, then it's going.
Nothing against the city secretary.
No, okay, well,
Two
fine.
board members should sign it.
Oh,
I would
okay.
recommend, Tony, that if you would, because I'm not here during the day, so if something came up, could you sign a check?
Sure.
I mean, I'll do it, I don't mind doing it, but I am very.
Yeah, I was just going by the functionality. If we had
I'm
the
fine
treasurer and
with
the
it.
president,
I'm just
you know,
So
but.
are you
convenience.
good with it being two board members? is what
Any
you're
two
saying?
board members
Okay.
you need.
So
As long
if
as
it's-
you've got
If it's
two,
Larry and Joe, then,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I'm just.
Oh,
not here
yeah,
during the day.
and we've got a time, I mean, it's not as timely as a city, but,
Sure.
you know, if we can get to, and Joe and I,
Okay.
as you so casually mentioned, I am retired. So unless I'm on vacation, and then I can always do, you know, if it's really critical, I can always do an email authorization transfer to either you or Tim, if we have to get something signed immediately, okay? If that's okay with you.
Just to be clear, I think, Tim, your concern was it not be a board member and an admin assistant, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be 2 board members.
Yeah, cause I wouldn't want the city secretary to be in a position to where she don't know whether should I sign this or should I not? So we
Correct.
can
Okay,
take
go
it
ahead.
fund it for our own.
Okay.
Okay,
So Larry and Joe.
Something-
All right. so we'll
I
take,
make a motion for Larry and Joe to be the signature authority for checks drawn on the EDC fund.
got a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, unanimous approval. I will get bank signature cards, signed up then. Okay, so there's actually 2, one of them showed up. The discussion, consideration, possible action on spending $1,500 on the annual 76537 live advertising marketing. I thought that was in here. This is something that both the city and EDC have done for at least 4 years, because they used to sign checks for the city. So this is just a general advertising in the 76537 area for $1,500. I'm gonna bring up, because I just got it 2 days ago, there's another one that's our contribution to the Gerald Chamber of Commerce, and that's $750. So
Membership? Or?
it's a senior membership contribution. It's the same dollar amount that's been going to them for the last couple of years, so I'm assuming that it's
Membership, probably.
probably, it's from the Gerald COC. So I guess what I'm asking is it, does the board approve spending $1,500 on the general advertising that goes into 76537 life?
What is it? Where we advertise?
It's kind of it's a goodwill city thing. I mean, the city has their own.
I mean, I don't have a problem with advertising, but what are we putting in there?
That's to be figured out with the Mike and the agency. It's probably going to be the same thing that it was last year, but probably with different names in the board.
This is an ad, so it's a printed ad?
It's not an ad, it's a pamphlet that goes out once a year. It's kind of through like the Mike
Who
Gerald
produces it?
Mike thing. So the city has the same thing. They have their own endorsement for the Gerald City, and then there's one for the Gerald EDC. Okay.
So it's in the My Journal magazine that it's mailed out?
It's not in the Mike, it's a once a year supplement that goes further than just 76537, includes most of Williamson County, and it just has a listing of all of the different functionalities that are in the 76536. So it'll include some of the Sonterra stuff, it'll include the city admin portion, it'll include the EDC portion, it will include, I'm surprised you weren't in it.
Well, we have in My Journal a section for Journal ISD.
You do, yeah. So
Is that what this is?
I think this is the supplement to my Gerald. Okay, you know how that once a year they do a kind of a bigger budget that's in there. I did find, going back when I showed you all that list of everything we paid for back in '24, we paid the same amount about this time last year. And I don't know any better. I don't know whether it's good. I have no measurements as to whether it gets us on, but it was kind of like, there's no sense in squelching something that I don't know whether it was actually good or bad. We can look at it when it comes out and decide next year if we want to participate anymore. It's all up here. So the Chamber of Commerce is $750, so the 765371 is for Fidelis Publishing for most of Williamson County, and it includes most of the major governmental entities as well as whatever the commercial properties are going to get into it. So.
And it is a publication that's mailed out.
Yes.
And it's called 76537 Live.
Yes. So.
Can we get a copy of it to see? Maybe that might help.
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't know, there's one now. I'll tell you what, we certainly can get copies of the one when it gets done, and then we can make a decision.
Or maybe-
Do we want to participate in there
Right.
anymore?
Or-
That's mine.
It
Just,
doesn't even have to be the one coming out, if they can just bring us one that they've already done, just so we can see
well,
what
I
it
think the
looks
city should have one. I don't know if you keep them or not. Like I said, it's a one-time publication. I don't know, it maybe went to the outdoor toilets or something, but.
I don't recall seeing one, but that was.
Right alongside the Sears catalog, I'm sorry. It just- So, but I would offer that one out, is that we've done it before, we can take a more serious look at it, to whether we want to continue on with it again. We've already got it budgeted, there's more than
Who
sufficient.
designs that they add?
That Fidelis Publishing, so
Y'all get to see it prior to production?
and that's part of it. If we approve this, then we would have to call in their advertising person to do what it is we want to go in there. So if you want to do that.
Don't you even?
Okay.
Tim,
So,
even our trading seats.
okay, so if you don't have a problem having done it before, I would be happy to oversee it with their advertising purpose.
Well, I'd say for right now, since we're not really sure what this is let's bring an example in, so we
I'm
can
trying
take
to
a look
Google
at
it.
it.
If
Well, they're trying- yeah, they're-
It looks like it's a Chamber of Commerce
Mhm.
annual, so like we do a welcome guide, we print it in at our chamber. So what I'm reading on here is the Gerald Chamber of Commerce guide is officially relaunching in 2025 at 76537 Life.
Okay,
It's just printed by Mike Payne's company, so it's must be a chamber.
Oh, so it's something new that's coming out.
Well, this is.
It's coming to life again.
Yeah, it must be.
it was, I think, of course, excuse me on this one. COVID had a tendency to upset some of the
Absolutely.
stuff that was in there. And I remember we used to support submitting, feel-good propaganda to
Yeah.
all the citizens, and it's kind of like for $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
How bad can you go? So,
Mhm.
but I will ask her for a copy to make sure.
Who reached out? Did Fidelis do it or did?
So it is exactly what you're talking about, Tim. It's the directory, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Which does
yeah.
get heavy
I support
production.
that. Okay.
I do
Okay.
know
I just didn't
they,
know what it was.
Okay.
We
Well, they
do-
renamed
all
it.
do.
that's what
Yeah.
happened, and so there's a lot of confusion between entities when it took on its new name.
Okay. All right, so we can go from there? Okay, so that would be two. I hate to bring up the other one, but it came up.
What's the other one?
The $750 for the Chamber of Commerce
I'd
membership.
like for us to revisit that and make sure we're at the top level for the Chamber of Commerce, that's just me.
And that could potentially be, purchasing like a table at their banquet,
Something.
or,
Support
I think there would be an
something.
invoice, I don't know if that's membership dues, or if that's a
This
presence
is,
at the.
according to the invoice, it's membership dues.
Dues,
Yeah, so, now I don't care. If you don't want to stay with the Chamber of Commerce anymore, I'll tell them to
I
go
want
on.
to increase our exposure with the chamber, I want to say be partner to the chamber, so if we're at 750, I don't know their levels, I don't know what their
Okay.
membership dues, Gail, do you know? I don't know,
I think 2,500 is the top tier.
and that's where we should be, in my opinion.
So do you want to change and have us instigate a higher level? Give me an upper limit of what you want to spend at the Chamber of Commerce.
Can we do that, in this action item, I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna make a motion to tell me what to do.
But it's not
It's
listed
not
on here.
chamber,
Well, it's true. It's not, so,
well, 76537 Life, we learned this chamber, it's just got a new name.
Well, that's supposed to be coming out in August, though, have they already done your ad?
no, they're trying to do it this week.
I know that that's being released this month,
76537,
yes.
Yeah. and that's why I brought that one up. Now, the other one came up, if you wanna hold on the Chamber of Commerce until next month.
Well, we can see what our dues, or if they emailed you, I guess, about.
We got an invoice from the Chamber of Commerce and that's the only reason I brought it up. If you wanna wait to see what it looks like until next month, I'll just tell,
Well, the ad is coming out next month, that's
well,
probably.
that's the 76537 line. That's not the Chamber of Commerce. You were just,
So the 76537 is Chamber of Commerce.
Well,
They
then-
work with Fidelis,
So here's what we can
it's
do.
a directory.
I make a motion to spend up to, $4,000 for marketing with the chamber, membership and marketing with the chamber of commerce. Up to.
Okay.
Get you.
that give a little flexibility? Okay. Are you okay with that?
I am, I'm just worried about how that's worded, that you're saying that this includes the chamber, as long as if that action is worded correctly, and we can approve that, I'm in agreement.
Okay, so the $4,000 would give us Basically, you're saying for marketing
For marketing. So
with
it'd be
the
our
chamber
membership,
and
our
Okay.
for not to exceed $4,000 of whatever this is.
Second.
Okay, all right, so second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Got a unanimous approval because I said aye also. Is there, and I always like to do this, is there anything that any of the members just like to talk about for a minute or two before we? Yes.
We talk about the library. In the next meeting, please.
Just meeting, you know, and just, yeah, sure, what do you want to know? What do you want to do?
Just add it as an agenda item for the next meeting, please. Oh,
You-
this is
I
the
don't
best
know.
meeting ever.
I don't have a problem putting on this here. Is it gonna be a presentation? Is it gonna be a?
No, I'll bring some literature, I'll send it, put it in the packet so that we can all review. One of the questions of the last council meeting was, how many hours are they using of the $10,000? How is that being utilized? And so I just want to go through that and share that.
And the other one was, how are you measuring it?
Correct, and so.
Yeah, so, and that's all I said about
Yeah.
the contract, is if you say it's worth
Right.
this, and you've got a measurement technique that
Yeah.
shows it, then as far as I'm concerned, we got a contract, I don't, you
Okay,
can give me $10,000.
okay. Well, so
I just don't want to get into a bind, having somebody interpret that as a contribution.
Understood, and so
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to put it on the agenda, to go over it, make sure we're all good, if there's anything that's else that's needed. Sorry. You have me
No,
laughing so hard.
Believe me, I'm going to have the, Community Library of Northern Williamson County by Tony Hicks.
Oh, no.
All right, you have anything you need to add? There being no further business in front of this council, we stand adjourned at 7:46 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I needed that good laugh.